Hey, how you doing? It's Jeffrey Wolf with Adventure CEOs Wolf's Watch. This is an impromptu. I can actually speak. I do it for a living, at least sometimes. Thanks for joining in. I'm glad you're here. Look, this is an impromptu conversation, so I doubly appreciate you joining in. I'm watching the comments. Throw a comment, share this out. Just wanted to touch base with you because it's a Thursday. So think of this as a Thursday tune-up. We've all been locked down for 6 weeks, nearly a couple months now. It depends on when it started for you. We've been, we're coming up on our second month here in California with being stay at home, and just thinking a lot about how much that's changing life. I don't know what your life experience has been. I don't talk about mine a lot outside of personal friends and in one-on-one where it seems appropriate. And I just want to tell you, something that this has made me think about is, my wife and I were talking about this morning over breakfast. We're both really grateful for the relationship that we have because we're here in the house. We've set up so we can work in different rooms, but we kind of keep each other a little bit entertained, and it's good having that social time together. And you may be home alone, you may be with family, maybe with roommates or some situation. Hopefully it's something that you're enjoying while you're continuing to find a way through this. And I've been really presently minded about how blessed I am with the people that I have surrounded myself with. And this was a conscious choice a while back. Now hold with me, this is leading somewhere, because I listen to how they're talking about stuff and what they're doing, and they're all very focused on, okay, here's where we're at right now today. Here's what's going on around us. We need to be mindful of CDC guidelines. We need to be careful about health and respectful of other people's health as well, especially those that are at risk, have underlying health conditions and whatnot. So they do that, but at the same time, they're looking at, okay, where are we going? What's next? What are we doing? What are we doing 30, 60, 90 days out? Right? And if you're an entrepreneur, I'm talking to you. If you're a business leader, I'm talking to you. If you're enjoying some time home and getting an extended vacation, and you're in a position where your bills are covered and whatnot, fantastic. This probably isn't the conversation that you're going to find interesting. But for those of you that are in leadership positions and you want to stay with the leaders, you want to stay out front with the leaders, think about this. Who are you spending time with? You're most likely spending time with the kind of people that I've been talking to the last 6 weeks, where they're looking at, what are we doing now? What skills can we sharpen? How can we sharpen the saw? You may have heard that if you've read 7 Habits. They're talking about what kind of books they've read. What are they studying? Who are they listening to? Who's got a good idea? How are they adapting their businesses? What opportunities are coming up? The reality is we're already in a recession. Next 3 months, next 6 months, it's going to be some tough economic times. It's just a question of how much. May not be as bad, could be really bad. Well, probably somewhere in the middle there, but there's going to be a lot of opportunity in that as well. Opportunity to serve, to help make it easier for other people to get through that, because that's a temporary condition, just like this lockdown is. And as entrepreneurs, how do we, and I just got off a weekly webinar with one of my mentors, John Limbacher of Internet Dominators, and he's like, as entrepreneurs, that's what we do. We find the gaps and we fix things for people. We find where people experiencing pain in a sense, and we find an opportunity to take care of that. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities like that, some from business standpoint, some not. So how are you surrounding yourself with people that are looking at that and finding the gaps? Right? We've been finding a lot of gaps, and we're looking at some we're going, okay, that's something that we can do something about. Personally with my company, and some things we can't. Whose attention can we bring that to and go, hey, are you looking at this? This would be a great opportunity for you. Someone needs this. It looks like you can do that for them. There's gonna be a lot of that kind of networking, those kind of referrals going on as well. And so again, we're not, the people I'm talking with and have been getting encouraged by are not myopic. They don't have their blinders on about, there's some chaos and around us now. It's potentially economic hard times coming up for a lot of people, but they're looking at what can we do about it? How can we be positioned to help? So what can you do about it? What are you doing about it? Share in the comments what you're doing, because that way I can help you connect with people that can help with that path. or I may be able to connect you with people that need what you're talking about, need what you're offering, and that's really, we need to really band together. We need to stand, we the people, right? Heard that before? We the people. We need to continue to take responsibility for what we're doing, what's going on around us, and look at how we can help. That also means that we need to stick together and help each other find those opportunities. Who connect who with whom, right? I meet a lot of interesting people doing interviews and other things that we do in business, and I'm always open to helping connect people. I love helping to connect people. My wife teased me about it for years, and helped me really get focused on going, yeah, and it's a great opportunity to serve. It's a lot of fun to do, and we're more than happy to help connect you with markets, with people, with resources. So put it in the comments what you're doing. And it's also thinking the larger stuff about life, some of the people that I've been listening to that think that you might enjoy. You want to check this out. Every Sunday night, there's a new web-based TV show, if you will, called the Ken and Glenn Show with a guy named Scott. So here you have three amazing professionals. You got an A-list actor, Glenn Morshower. You've got just a world-class entrepreneur and king of live stream, Ken Walls. And then you have a Hall of Fame speaker in the legendary radio voice, Scott McKain. Then they're spread out all over the country, right? Scott's in Las Vegas, Glenn's in Dallas, Ken's in Ohio, around the Columbus, Ohio area. And so they're coming from different regions, different backgrounds, and they do a 90-minute TV show that you can interact with because they're live streaming on Facebook and other platforms. So check that out, because it tends to be kind of a spiritual discussion too. Which brings me to why I wanted to kind of do a tune-up Thursday and just kind of touch base, because it keeps bringing back to me, and this is where I was headed, why I asked you to hold with me at the beginning of this ramble, if you will. Life is a spiritual experience, right? So are you connecting with that? I don't know what your belief is or isn't, but think about that. It's kind of nice. It's sitting here. I had a break between meetings, and I was looking out the window and going, man, how blessed we are to live where we're living. Because I look out the window, it was foggy this morning, fog burned off, sky's shining, and we're in the greater Los Angeles area. So we got that classic California blue sky, got some green trees out here, light breeze. It's just a really pleasant day. And I was going, dang, that's amazing. It's those kind of moments with being connected. And, life is a spiritual experience. It's not always easy, and stuff happens. You've likely had tragedy in your life, and we experience that. And, looking out the next 6 months, you're going to see a lot of that around you, probably experience some of that yourself. That's part of my business planning and our family, discussions right now. We're looking at, okay, what might go sideways, what might not, how do we protect ourselves from that a little bit and be ready and realistic about what's coming. And look to say, you know what, if nothing else, we're going to have some fun with it. And we don't want to lose that spiritual connection because it gets us through, right? It's the relationships and the connections that are going to get you through the lockdown, through whatever's coming in the short term after the lockdown, and then the longer term life that you enjoy after that. Key thing, enjoy, right? Attitude of enjoying or rending of clothes. We choose to not be in the rending of clothes camp. Doesn't mean that we ignore, or that, let me keep it really personal, doesn't mean that I ignore what's going on around me and the heartbreak that other people experience, the heartbreak that I experience, my family experiences. We're just we're not going to stay in that. We're going to learn see what we can learn from that. We're going to deal with the emotions and then move on, and hopefully have lessons that we can apply in our lives beyond that. Because I have found, my experience has been, no matter what happens, no matter how hard life gets, no matter how bad I screw up, it always comes back to me. I'm in charge of my life, writing my story. Hope you are too. And in the long run, if I learn from those experiences, learn lessons from them, apply them, if I amend my behavior based on that and move forward, in the long run, it tends to be a positive, which is weird spiritual math. It doesn't really make sense, but it works because it's about who I get to become through those experiences, right? And you know what? Not saying that I live a life without regrets. I don't know about you, but some of the things I've experienced didn't seem that out of the realm of what we'll call normal to me, because it was my experience, and the same with your life experience. It may not seem special to you, but guess what? It is. It's unique, and it makes it. When you tell some stories to other people, they might go, "Wow," Um, it's not to get into those kind of details, but I know. For example, one of the inflection points in my life was when I was in college. I was fortunate to live at home. And I'll be honest, I didn't necessarily look at it that way at the time, but it was good. I had a great relationship with my parents. Even though we argued at times, it's just part of life and part of growing up. I was able to stay at home, so I didn't incur any college debt. Going through undergraduate, and I did the same thing when I went to graduate school for my MBA at Pepperdine. I was able to work through that. But I had a great Friday night dinner with my parents. Right, so here I am. I'm like 20 years old. Let me take my reading glasses off for a second. Oh, wait a minute. I got some people that are joining in. Hey, thanks for joining. Cringy Cop, don't recognize you. It's the 2020s, peaceful more than the 90s. More peaceful than the 90s? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Thanks for joining in. That's a good comment. The 2020s, it's still way more peaceful than the 90s was, wasn't it? I remember the LA riots in 92. Spent 2 days in South Central LA. It doesn't exist as a demographic area anymore, thanks to the city council, but in that area helping with cleanup. That was very exciting. We only got shot at once, but it was good. The community was awesome, and it was a good experience. But that's a longer story for another time. But coming back to what I was saying about being in college, I had a great dinner with my parents. So it's like 19, turning 20, somewhere around that age. And it's one of those things where I was very aware of. I'm enjoying dinner with my parents. We're watching a little bit of television, talking, telling jokes, and laughing. But I was enjoying my relationship with my parents as an adult, and I was very aware of that. It's kind of a special moment. And I turned and looked at my mom, she's needlepointing a set of Christmas tablecloth and napkins. And we're chatting away, and I looked at her and I go, because I was supposed to go out with some friends from college, and I was like, I'm kind of tempted to just stay home. And I was exhausted because I was going to school full time, working part time in an engineering school, so and still finding time to go out and run around with friends. And she's like, you know what, go out with your friends, have a good time, And so it's just like, because one of those things which was rare, because I'm an outdoors, out doing stuff kind of person, and so off I go, have a good time with my folks. We're out shooting with my friends from school. We're out to shoot pool, have a few adult beverages, and get home after the bar that we were at closed. So it's probably around 2:30 in the morning. I get home, and my dad's up washing dishes in the kitchen. And it's like, I parked in the back, came in through the back door in the kitchen. I'm sitting down, I'm taking my boots off and looking up, and I was like, something's a little off. And he's washing dishes, and he kind of leans on the counter, and he turns around and he goes, I don't know how to say this, but your mom passed away while you're out. And it's like, what? Did I hear that right? And it turned out she had a massive heart attack, and she went to bed and then woke up in pain and had a massive heart attack, and that was it. It's like, bang, just like that. I watched his entire life change. I knew it affected mine, but I'm sitting there looking at my dad. I'm going, you know what? Because they were around 60-ish at the time in years of age. So all these years, they were from that generation that went through the Great Depression, went through World War II, and then finally it's like, man, after all that turmoil, decades of turmoil, they were able to lead a little bit more peaceful life and whatnot. And they had all these things that they had planned. They'd worked hard, with modest economic means. They worked hard, they saved. We never really wanted for anything. We didn't go hungry, but nothing extravagant either, right? And they're just getting to that point in life where they're like seeing the end of the tunnel. That's the kind of conversations they're having, where they're going to go. They're getting closer and closer to retirement and making more and more plans along those lines. Bam, just like that, done. And we're seeing a lot of that with the COVID-19 virus, where people are tragically passing away. And I recently heard one of our government officials say, what, one death is too many, and we need to accept, though, that it happens. And how do we plan for larger stuff? And it's true in my life and in your life. What do you do? Someone I know people that have passed from that, but guess what? I know people have passed from other stuff as well. So I look at that as it is tragic, and how do we process that? How do we incorporate that into our lives moving forward? And hopefully it's not something that becomes a speed bump for you that stops you from moving forward. I'm working with people, running with people that, I was teasing them like 2 things in my life that are prevalent right now. I'm running fast with sharp objects, and I'm doing my job with wet pants. That's something I learned from Dan Sullivan. Look up Strategic Coach. He's a great mentor, great advisor. He told a story about when he was going through boot camp in the Army, and he's in Canada, the Canadian Army. And the drill sergeant that was teaching them how to throw live hand grenades during hand grenade practice said, look, here's 2 things you need to know. Fear is okay. And fear is represented by the fact, think of it like this. Fear is having wet pants. Courage is doing your job with wet pants. So I don't know about you, but I've been keeping a stack of dry shorts nearby and changing regularly and just moving on and doing my job with wet pants the last several weeks. Something to think about. Not letting it slow me down and running fast with sharp objects, trying not to stumble, making changes on the fly and whatnot. It's easy to stumble and fall on something sharp and have a major injury. We need to avoid that. We need to test, change, but maintain some balance in perspective, right? It's all about mindset. So this is kind of a ramble. Just wanted to connect with you. The story about my mom passing away is something that it changed everything. Some of the stuff that happens, and this is right now a big something with the lockdown we've had, economic shutdown, and the ramifications of that over the next several months, where it's going to create inflection points for us all. And depending on who you surround yourself with, depending on how your mindset and your perspective with that experience, even in times of horrible emotional turmoil, on whether it will be something that you look back on several years down the road and go, wow, you know what, it really ended up being a blessing of an experience, not the circumstances, but the experience overall in my life. And hopefully you'll be doing that in your life. And it was a blessing. It was an inflection point, because in the long run, a lot of good came out of it, and it can. And I'm not letting anybody near me that's not looking at it as that perspective. I recommend you do the same. Talk with people. It's not to ignore people, but come on, stay out front with the rest of the leaders. We need you and other business leaders, entrepreneurs. We need you out front with the rest of the leaders, so that we can help others, and so that we can lead on the economic front as this, as the economy starts opening back up. We're seeing it starting to test in some areas, and seeing what that looks like. There's going to be a lot of people that are hurting physically, emotionally, and financially. So there's an opportunity to serve, some of which will be business oriented, and some of which will just be doing what we know is right. And I know you're an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? We like doing that. You like doing that, don't you? I do. And it's just a part of being of service. So there's going to be a whole ton. Somebody that I was talking to recently, going back and forth about some of the things that we're concerned about that we see happening right now locally. And he goes, yeah, but he goes, okay, so what's the good news? And first thing that came off the top of my head was, you know what? The good news is that no matter how much chaos you see around you, every time chaos, adversity, there's always an equal amount of opportunity that balances that out. Right? The universe likes homeostasis, or just like our physiology does as human beings. So it likes to kind of balance stuff out, the yin and yang, however you want to look at that. And he goes, yeah. And I go, so that means that right now, given all the chaos and all the turmoil that we see around us, that means that there's just massive opportunity. All right. So keep that in mind as well. Just wanted to get that message out to you. Rambled on a little bit longer, but just wanted to connect with you. Hey, we got some more people. Patricia, how you doing? Thanks for joining in. It's good to hear from you. Wait a minute. See if we can pop. Let me try this. Patricia, wow, that was a shocker. My dad passed when I was 25. I'm sorry to hear that, but you know what I'm talking about, right, Patricia? I mean, it's those kinds of things that those of us that have had those experiences and we're on the other side of it, and it's a part of who we are. There's a lot of experiences that I would trade if I could. But then again, looking at it, going, probably wouldn't be wise, because it's part of who I am. The experience with my mom passing away, Patricia, when your dad passed away when you were 25, those experiences are part of who we are today. And I'm kind of okay with that. Some days, not always, and certainly in certain moments, I don't stay true with it, but a lot of the time today, excuse me, So I was trying out. I look around and go, wow, you know, I'm becoming a man that I never thought that I could be. And I'm enjoying that process. And I'm aware of it and go, wow, it gives me goosebumps when I say that. And it feels weird to say that, but I look at it and go, I'm kind of proud of the guy that I am at times. And I latch on to that, and I want to do more of that. And, you know, Patricia, thank you so much for joining in. And think about that. You know, who are we becoming through the lockdown? Who are you becoming? You know, here's some of the stuff I did. I shredded 22 pounds of weight off. I'm getting back in good physical condition because I can't work and enjoy life at the pace that I like to, being outdoorsy and outdoors oriented, by being out of condition and overweight. Plus, my dad had diabetes, and I watched the effect that had on him later in life. And I know me gaining weight is, you know, puts me at risk for as I get older to go down that path. I don't want to do that if I can avoid it. I've been studying a lot, you know, looking at new things. I haven't watched any TV in a month. Instead, you know, when I take lunch and dinner breaks, I'm spinning shorts, either something funny or, you know, some like a sci-fi short that you see on YouTube, or something educational. So we're constantly doing that, learning new things, partnering with new people. We've got a few business associations and partnerships that we're going to be rolling out here shortly, that we developed as part of our new business plan. But, you know, I'm kind of looking at this as here's an opportunity to restart so that I can be more effective, so I can be more present. We had a chance to interview Kim Walsh Phillips yesterday. What a powerful business leader. You know, look at her focus on faith, family, and business and what she's doing. It's just like, oh, wow, you know, being around people like that is so encouraging. And being, you know, so I can, again, come back to what I said a few moments ago. They can be more of that guy that I'm going, I never thought I could be that kind of man. You know, someone that really is able to contribute in a very positive way. Even as an entrepreneur, very focused on business. However, you know, it's about solving problems. And I have not met any successful entrepreneurs that, you know, yeah, there's bad examples of everything, you know, of entrepreneurs and business leaders as well in the media, but there's bad apples, right? There's always bad apples somewhere. From what I've seen of the entrepreneurs that I get to hang out with, the more successful they are, the more they're giving back and having an impact on communities in ways that's hard to even describe. And I like that. You know, we all look for how can we be of service, just because it's in our hearts to be of service. And we also look for business opportunities. And I tell you this, I love working with entrepreneurs because entrepreneurs are the most powerful force for freedom and opportunity in the world. And that's what we're doing. We're spreading freedom. That's the way I view it. And working with entrepreneurs and business leaders, CEOs, we're spreading freedom. We're spreading opportunities. We're creating an environment where people can see how far can they go in life. What can they do? You know, what are they made of? Who can they become? Which ties back into life as a spiritual experience, right? At the end of the day, it's about what did we contribute and who did we become? That dash that you see on the gravestones that gets talked about sometimes, you know, from born here, finish the run here. What did you do with your dash? So I'll leave you with that thought. This is a golden opportunity before the stay-at-home orders are lifted, wherever you're sitting at right now, watching this, to take a look and say, hey, what are you doing with your dash? If you like it, great. Figure out how to do more. If you're not happy with it, as I look at that, you know, I pulled out a clean sheet of paper a month ago and said, if I'm starting over, what am I doing here? Think, what, you know, personal things, you know, what am I doing that I'm happy with myself and I'm not? Business things, what's going to work, what's not, what's going to be relevant over the next 6 months, and started making changes. I encourage you to do the same. I encourage you to surround yourself with people that are doing the same and that will support you in doing the same. You know, as always, reach out to me in the comments, connect with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, however, you know, I'm open on there, and I'll support you on that. You know, help connect with people, be there to bounce ideas off of. We're in this together. But guess what? Future's so bright, you better be buying some sunglasses. All right? Bright future out there. But the reality is, it's not going to be easy. But together, we can sure as heck make it fun and enjoyable. So, thanks for joining in on this little bit of ramble. You know, we're going to be doing more and more of the Wolf's Watch. We're building this into just getting started with the whole live stream thing. Thank you, Ken Walls, for that. You know, if you're interested in live stream, you need to check out Ken Walls. But we're getting this started, and this will be regular. It will be predictable. You'll know, when we're gonna be broadcasting. But for now, just getting started and doing some stuff from time to time where we can get it to fit in while everything else is in flux. So you have an awesome day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep laughing at the passing parade. Find the humor in what you're experiencing as well. That's one thing. I'll leave you with this. I grew up surrounded by, the generation that was born that was old enough during the Great Depression that they could remember what it was like, and it was a hard time, right? So they're like grade school in their teen years, so it's when they were relatively young. And I listened to how they talked about that, and two things that always stuck with me. They talked about how tough it was and how hard they had to work and how they had to scrimp, scrape, scrabble, hustle. And in the same breath, they would talk about how much fun they had, right? Imagine that. During hard times, they're working like crazy, not sure where the next meal is going to come. And sometimes it would be a couple days before it did. Yet they had an equally strong memory of how much fun they had during that. So we can do that. We can find ways to still have joy in our lives while we're going through this experience with the lockdown and the mess, the economic mess that's already started and that we're going to be living with here for at least the next 6 months. So that's my hope for you, is that you'll be part of that. Join us. We're going to have fun. We're going to work hard, but we're going to make stuff happen because we're staying out front with the rest of the leaders. Talk to you soon. Thanks for joining us for Adventure CEOs Wolf's Watch. And now watch me as the recovering engineer tries to find the end of broadcast button. There we go.